Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today's video is going to be a ranking of all of the K-Beauty eyeshadow palettes I tried. Welcome to everyone watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Welcome to Eyeshadow Palette Month. This is going to be a ranking of all of the different K-Beauty eyeshadow palettes that I've tried. I'm going to be grouping brands together in this video because with some of these, it would be very difficult for me to rank them individually, and then it would just take a little bit of time here to sit down and talk about each one individually. So I'm just going to do it grouped by brand because I think that will be fair. I just recently, in June and July, tried a whole host of K-Beauty eyeshadow palettes because I really wanted to see what the K-Beauty world had to offer in terms of eyeshadow, and I thought it could be a nice sort of roundup video to do a ranking as well as part of Eyeshadow Palette Month. In case you're new here, hi, my name is Maaike. I live in the Netherlands. I like to come on here to chat about makeup from a fair-skinned, cool-toned, undertoned perspective because I have just found that not all makeup looks the same on me as it does on everybody else. And I know because I have been trying makeup for more than a decade. That's how long I've been doing this. So if you want opinions, I've got them for you. I love eyeshadow palettes, Essence and Catrice, and getting the use out of my makeup. So let's just get to this K-Beauty stuff. So I already mentioned it when I was filming my review of these, that the Bbia Tea House in Merengue, this is their final shadow palette, was one of my least favorite ones that I tried. I don't love the packaging. It feels quite cheap. And in here, we only get one shimmer, which is this one, and everything else is matte. And this is just, no matter which shade I used, I just felt it looked too samey once. Like I tried to do two different looks with it, and it didn't really matter which shades I used because they are all essentially the same shade. Like this could have been a duo, maybe a quad, like this shade, and like one of these two and the shimmer. And that's all I would have needed to make this a full-on eyeshadow palette. I feel that these two are too similar, these two are too similar. It's just all a little bit one note, and I just wanted a little bit more from my eyeshadow than I did with this. However, if you go and you look into K-Beauty, then you should know that eyeshadow in K-Beauty is a wash of color with a bit of sparkle. That's the vibe. So if you want full-on glam, then I don't think any of these are going to cater to your needs. But I do like a lot of these. This just wasn't quite it. And I felt similarly about the WAKEMAKE eyeshadow palette in Forest Brown. This is the Mix Blurring Eye palette. And this has really nice sturdy packaging. Actually feels quite heavy. But here again, I just felt that this was a little bit one note. We do get two shimmers in here, but they are very flaky, sort of pressed glitters, more so than anything else. Now, K-Beauty is all about the pressed glitter, but I have just tried other pressed glitters in other palettes that I will be showing you in a minute that I like better than this. Like this white actually has stars in it, which can be a bit problematic once you start taking off your makeup. The mattes were really stunning in here, but I especially like these three. So if you'd have just given me these three and that white shimmer for something else, then I would have been okay. I didn't really need the rest. This is sort of like a complexion product, like a contour shade, but on me, it was a little bit light for that, I feel, and if I use it as eyeshadow, it's too similar to some of the shades we already get in the palette. So I felt it didn't add anything to the palette to have that in here, and I'm not entirely sure whether that's supposed to be a complexion product or whether it's supposed to be like an eyeshadow that you can use to complement it. But yeah, this was, again, even though it looks really stunning and I really enjoy the aesthetic of this and the way it looks, it just wasn't quite it for me. An eyeshadow palette that I had been wanting to try since 2019 when I spotted this in New York, and I didn't buy it because I didn't have the budget for it at the time, and then I couldn't find it anywhere, and I finally managed to get myself one of the Kaja bento boxes. Really pretty, really nice shimmers, but you can do one look with this, and that's it. And it's just mainly the packaging that makes it cute. But I think that if this came in like regular packaging, people were not as excited about this. Plus, I feel it's quite expensive for what you get. Some of the other palettes I will be showing you have a similar price point like this, like around the €20 mark. but you get like 8 shades or 10, and this is only 3. They're very pretty shades though. I really, really like this shimmery number, like really pretty shimmers. But you do need another matte to pull it in. This is really pretty as well. They can work together as one little trio, like a look of 3 shades. You can definitely do that with this, but it's essentially just the one thing. So I was a bit let down with this, even though I think these are pretty. Then an eyeshadow palette that I kept around because I knew I wanted to do this video, because essentially this has been decluttered, which is why it's in the bottom half of this ranking. And it's the Moonshot Rêve de Paris à Moonshot eyeshadow palette. But now that I've put it up against all of these other things, I'm like, I'm glad I didn't throw this away yet, because this little guy, it's a travel makeup palette. It's not supposed to be like really big or anything like that. It's supposed to be for travel. And this has really stunning shades. It just pulled a lot warmer than I had expected when I bought it. And that's my main reason for not loving it. But it is really excellent eyeshadow quality. It's that really nice wash of color. You get a warm toned look in here and a mauve toned look. Really, really pretty shades. I love the 2 shimmers we get in here. But here again, a little bit samey perhaps. You can't really do like a third look with it. So this is really pretty though. So now that I'm comparing it to the WAKEMAKE and the Bbia, I'm like, maybe I should keep this over those other 2 when I do declutter my makeup collection next time. So I'm glad I didn't get rid of this just yet. A brand I knew I wanted to try a bit more from when I set myself the goal of trying more K-Beauty eyeshadow was 3CE. And 3CE is a brand that is a little bit more expensive. This little quad retails for around 30 to 35 euros, depending on where you get it. Now, granted, you can find a lot of deals very often on a lot of K-Beauty stuff if you wait for a sale. So you don't have to pay that amount of money for this. But knowing that this retails for around the same price as a Huda Beauty 9 pan, because that's sort of the price point we're talking about, whereas all the other things I have for you are a little bit more affordable. Here we get 9 shades, and this is in the shade Plot Twist. And this looked green online, and then I got it home, I was like, oh, it's like mustardy browns. It's like Urban Decay Naked Honey, but in a 9 pan. That's essentially what we're getting. I liked this, but I didn't love it. I didn't love it 35 euros, love it, in case you don't know. If this would have been 15, I would have liked it a lot more. This is, however, the instigator, because this is the brand that originated this clear lidded 9 pan color story in the K-Beauty world. And there are other brands who are doing it, but I like the ones from the dupe brand a lot better. So just saying, that's coming up soon. But here again, we get some shades that are very similar. Like these 2 browns, they look identical. These 2 look quite identical, so I didn't need those. These 2 shimmers look pretty much identical, so this could have been a 6 pan and I would have been happy. This shade I do really like though. That brown shimmer is really, really lovely, but for one shade, it just wasn't quite worth it for me. With how expensive it is, I think this could have been done better. So let's talk about those dupe palettes then, because I have these. These are by HOLIKA. I have to say that I like this one a little bit better than I do this. These are both from the same line. They are the My Fave Mood eyeshadow palettes. This one is in Neat Knit, and this is in Button Up. So let me do Button Up first, because I like it just a touch less, even though I thought I was going to like this more, because it seems to have more contrast. But I have found that's because it's in dark packaging. Because of the darker packaging, this looks differently than this one does. Let me hold them side by side so you can see what I mean. So this is very light, and I just thought that this was going to have just a little bit more going for it, but essentially you get the same shades. It does have a really stunning shimmer like this I really like, and I really like that like taupey matte that it has, but this ended up being that perfect K-Beauty wash of color that you just get on the lid. This does have only one shimmer though. It has this. This has a bit of shine, but it's not that strong. So that's again why I thought I was gonna like this one better, because it does have 3 shimmers and and then 6 mattes. But here I felt again that some of the shades were too samey, which is why these are still ranked in like the lower half of this ranking, because I have another 5 coming up after this. Here as well, like, ooh, these 2 shades are pretty much identical. These 2 shades are pretty much identical. And then, yeah, this one doesn't really add much of anything. So it's just a little too samey. Here as well, these two too similar. this is too similar. This is too, it's just all a little too samey. Am I happy I have these? Are they lovely quality? Yes. Quality wise, I like these better than the 3CE. I just think they do a little bit more for me. I think that if I were to mix and match these, I can get a little bit more out of it for sure. But these are not my top recommendation if you want to go for a K-Beauty eyeshadow palette. Heading into the top 5 then. Peri Para Fallen Acorn eyeshadow palette. This is officially the Dressed in Mood Fallen Acorn eyeshadow palette. This was part of an autumn collection. And this was really successful. I really enjoyed it. It does have a weird putty cream shade, which is why it's in spot 5. Because as much as I like the formula of this, because it's got a cream mixed in with powders, I just have to knock it down a point for that. It only has the one shimmer, which is really pretty layered over the cream. I really enjoyed that. We get a really nice like taupey matte in here. It's got a little bit of warmth. It does go a little bit deeper. You can definitely mix and match it. Nothing here is overly superfluous, but it is a bit of a weird shape. Again, it's like a popsicle almost. I think that this would have been better if they would have stacked 4 shades underneath it and made it a little like rectangular shape like that. This just feels awkward to store and it just doesn't really go anywhere. So that's another thing here. Plus it's weirdly thick. Like, look at how thick this thing is. It's really overly thick for what it is. So those are pet peeves, I know, but that's why it's in the number 5 spot. A K-Beauty palette that was one of the first things I tried, if not it's the first K-Beauty palette I ever tried, is by Peach C. And this is the Falling in Pink eyeshadow palette. And this is really stunning. Very similar to the ColourPop quads that ColourPop used to do. I'm not sure if they still do them. I had a couple of those, really liked it, but I decluttered all of those and I just kept this one because I felt that this was a little bit more unique. It's like warm rosy tones. It's that K-pop pink, if you know what I mean. Like this sort of like, you can really like do a nice wash of pink and then with that shimmer all over the lid. This is really nice for blending things out, and then this can be used just to add a little bit more definition along the lower lash line or the top lash line, whatever you want. And this is just really stunning, really good formula, and this is actually one of the reasons why I started trying out some more K-Beauty eyeshadow palettes, because I was like, this is stunning. In the number 3 spot, and this I didn't see coming because I thought this was like, compared to like the HOLIKA stuff, I had expected this to go in a similar vein. But the Autumn Closet from Etude has some really stunning shades in. When I started using this, I didn't want to stop using it. I did 3 looks with this little 12 pan. Is it 12? 10. 10 pans. 10 pan, not 12. And this, it feels like an e.l.f. eyeshadow palette. You know those like classic e.l.f. palettes that everybody used to love a while ago? It does have, again, that sheer wash of color kind of vibe. We get 3 shimmers in here. This one, and this one. But they're really nice ones, and we get different undertones. This is a little bit more green toned. This is a little bit more neutral and warm leaning, and then this is a bit more cool toned. It's stunning. It's really lovely. This also comes in another rendition, I believe. Like a lot of these come in different undertones as well. I've just picked the color stories that appeal to me the most, but especially from the top 2 that I'm going to be showing you, there are going to be warmer toned options with a lot more colors to them that if you want to, but this came in a warm toned option as well. Number 2, the reason why I wanted to try out so many more K-Beauty eyeshadow palettes. After trying the Peach C, I decided to dabble into Clio, and Clio does a whole range of what they call pro eyeshadow palettes. These are a little bit more expensive. They're like 20 to 25 euros. So it's like a Zoeva palette kind of price point, you could say, like that mid-tier. Just so not quite drugstore and not quite high-end, but a little bit in between. And I fell in love with these hard. These are the 2 I tried first. So we have, I always mix them up. This is the Picnic by the Sunset and the Walking on the Cozy Alley. And of these two, I thought I was gonna love the Picnic by the Sunset the most because this is the mauve tones. Look at those rosy tones. It's so pretty. This has 3 shimmers. 3 of them, all 3 of them are quite chunky. They're similar to the ones in the WAKEMAKE, I feel. But In the end, I just think that the mattes in this are just absolutely lovely. We don't get a lot of contrast in this though. It's again very samey. Again, we get quite a lot of shades that perhaps are duplicates of each other. But I like the color story of this, but I ended up loving the Walking on the Cozy Alley even more, even though it only has the one shimmer. It just has this one. So I thought, not gonna love it. But in terms of like just like that sheer wash of color, these undertones were just perfect for my skin tone. Again, not a whole lot of variety. So when I saw that they were doing this as part of a limited edition collection this fall, the Over the Path, I was so surprised. I was like, that's exactly what I want. Now, these two shimmers, I wasn't loving all that much, but this, it was stunning. This is starting to look like what you might expect from like a more drugstore priced eyeshadow palette, like e.l.f., like good e.l.f. quality. That's what you get with this. And I feel that this is just a really stunning palette. This is one of the favorite ones I've tried. It's the same kind of formula as the other ones I've tried. I love these little Clio palettes. They're really stunning, and I hope they keep doing these more high contrast levels. That's for sure. This comes in an entire range of undertones though. So if you want something that's more warm toned, then they definitely do that as well. I'm not sure if it's this range or the other one, but they have like mahoganies and like peachy orange tones a lot. Corals as well. So definitely check those out because they do some really stunning things. And if you love really good matte formulas, then these are really lovely. But I think if I were to try any more K-Beauty eyeshadow, that I would definitely try some more Romand. So these are the Better Than palettes, and this comes in a whole range of shades. I definitely want to try Dusty Fog Garden, but that's currently out of stock. It's an all matte cool tone palette, but it looks really stunning. And I have a lot of like singles by K-Beauty brands that have like glittery sparkles in them, and I think it can pair really nicely. So at some point I'll probably purchase that if it's back. But yeah, this is the one that is my favorite. This is Dreamy Lilac Garden, and this was from a limited edition, but can you just see that this has that light to dark, which I just enjoy. It goes deep enough for me to make it work, but this is still very light. It's got some pinks, it's got some neutrals, it's got some cool tones. It has a little bit of warmth with like this peachy tone here. The shimmers in this, there are 3 shimmers, are really good as well. So this was my favorite of the two because I felt that the Peony Nude Garden was just a touch too light for me. It's pretty. It only has 2 shimmers, which are here. So you pretty much have a neutral look and a pinky look. But these were just a touch too light for me. So if you hold them side by side, then I think you can see what I mean here, that this just has a little bit more going for it. Let me do it like this. Do you just see that this has just a little bit more contrast than this does? So with the Romand, I definitely think you need to look at all the pictures really carefully. Really pretty color stories. And I would like to try all of these at some point. But these are around like 18 euros or so. So they're pretty affordable. They're less expensive than the Clio ones. And I think I like these just as much. So, and these don't have the flaky shimmers. These have more like buttery smooth shimmers. They are a little bit more sheer. In the Clio, you get more of those chunky, glittery, sparkly ones. But these are a little bit more, these are just easier to work with. So yeah, those were all of the K-Beauty eyeshadow palettes that I tried and that I wanted to rank for you. I definitely want to try some more. That Romand palette I already mentioned. Unleasha is a brand I would still like to try. They seem to do some really good stuff as well. I have one of their palettes on my wish list currently as well. But maybe there's still some brands I'm missing, so let me know in a comment down below if there's any K-Beauty stuff that you know of that I should try, then definitely let me know. Because I'm just really loving the vibe of like that wash of color with a sparkle on the lid. Something like what I'm wearing today, actually. These are singles though. It's an REM cream shadow with a Mina 3, like cream shadow. I just played around with some liners and things, and this is really, really pretty. I feel it looks really stunning. So yeah, those were the K-Beauty palettes I wanted to talk about today. Thumbs up the video if you liked it. Of course, there are more eyeshadow palette month videos coming your way, so if you'd like to stay tuned for all of that goodness, and then I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye!